All right, very cool. I wish I had time to introduce each of these panel members. I've gotten to know some of them at least a little bit, and some of them really well. So I can't do that today, but I just wanted to mention the moderator, Katrina de Angelis, who is the one raising her hand there. Wow. Katrina has so much energy, I can't believe it. She's, not only did she help shape this panel, she helped shape the panel yesterday on conscious investing. She's all full of good ideas. Greg, have you tried this? I'm sure if I open my phone right now, there's going to be another text. Greg, did you do this? And I probably didn't, but I absolutely appreciate everything that she's brought to the table. So thank you very much. Katrina is an expert on employment engagement and culture design and a leadership coach. She supports leaders to co-create breakthrough shifts to optimize energy in organizations. She's the co-founder of MILO Multifunctional, where she coaches systems shapers, I'm not sure what that means, but maybe you can tell us about that, to lead with soul, strategy, and stewardship. And she's a board member on the Conscious Capitalism Los Angeles organization. Please help me welcome her and her panel.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, such a pleasure to be here. And I guess I'll start with, what does system shaper mean? And to me, it's really the people that are working in all different areas in these different fragments of the whole that are intuiting that there is a better way, that there's a different way, and that there's probably, actually, it's not even a new way, but it's a remembering and a coming back into alignment with themselves and also with the essence and purpose of organizations, and coming back into right relationships with all parts of the system that you are interacting with, depending on your role. And so, for me, this started when I was probably 12 or 13. As long as I can remember, I started working when I was 14, and I had this intuitive understanding of the different dynamics that were happening in the workplace. So, for example, I was working at a hair salon, and I would see things get stolen, or these toxic dynamics emerge, and to me it seemed so obvious, the systems that were contributing to those dynamics and the human behavior that happens. And I remember my parents always coming home from work and saying, okay, we're just going to leave work at the door and kind of move on with it. Like, they didn't enjoy it. And I thought, how? You spend so much time at work. How could you not be in a system that's nurturing your full potential? And so I decided from then on that it was my role to support businesses in their potential so that humans can also thrive and reach their potential as well. So I'm so excited to also welcome everyone here to the panel, because they each play a special role in my own journey in building my business. And the reason why I'm so excited about this panel is because when we talk about systems and business and this change that we want to create, or what are the problems, it's really looking at the whole entire picture as a whole, and these wonderful women represent different aspects of that whole. So Naomi is actually, I'm happy to say, one of our advisors at MILO, and she is bringing the regenerative operations perspective and really moving from linear to circular economies. And Michele has a venture capital firm, and I'm so excited for her to share her vision with you about how wealth can be moved differently, because there is abundance in this world, and if we use it intentionally, a lot of positive things can occur. And of course, you just heard Naseem, who's been a wonderful mentor in my journey through raising, because being a woman raising is so fun, yeah. Lots of lessons. Really saw the toxic dynamics really emerge in that space. So if you want to experience it, try and raise. And so I'm excited about her bringing us back into right relationship with diversity, and also what gets funded, and innovation, because so much of the work that I've seen comes from diversity of perspective, and that is in and of itself what you need to innovate. If you have 4 men in a room talking about something, you're missing literally 99% of the puzzle and the population that you're serving. So really, really important. And Floraina, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Bringing the ancestral wisdom and back into right relationship with both indigenous practices for ourselves, but also, our businesses. Each one of you are either you have a business or you're a leadership on a team. And I've been studying these practices for the past 10 years, and there's just so much disconnect in the way that we are taught to operate and versus how we can operate and be in right relationship with that. So I'm honored to have her here on this panel as well. So to get started, actually, I'll share a little story that actually Greg introduced me to. And if you notice, the panel is called the Sophia Century. Does anyone know what the Sophia Century is? Has anyone here heard of it? Oh, story time. Okay. Well, so the Sophia Century is really a Cherokee prophecy, and it's been embraced by Lynn Twist, and some of you might know her. She has popular work on the soul of money, and it tells a story of the bird of humanity. And this bird is born with two wings, masculine and feminine, but is forced for centuries to fly with one wing. Now you can imagine what happens when it's flying with one wing, the masculine wing, of course. And now we're starting to see this feminine wing has been tucked away, it's been constrained, and it's really not only wanting to emerge, it's needing to emerge for survival. And so in this century that we're in right now, the prophecy continues and says that the hidden feminine wing, the intuitive, deep listening, empathy, and regenerative wisdom will unleash not out there, but within all of us. And this is not only the feminine being the woman in the room, that is important, yes, but it's also the feminine traits within all of us and coming back into balance in this moment, because that's really what the world needs. And so coming into right relationship. And why is this so important? Well, for starters, I'm sure I don't have to tell any of you, but I'll give you a few things. So one is this wisdom can become infrastructure, which we're going to talk about. And regenerative diversity being, traditionally excluded voices, women, BIPOC community, even neurodivergent. The world was set up for, I always say, like one or two people to thrive, and the rest of the population was left out in the design. So we've come so out of alignment, and this is why burnout exists, right? We have all these, and Greg, I think you mentioned this too, we have all these ideologies around what we're supposed to be doing, what we look like, and this is why I got into the beauty industry, because it's so extractive, and it's really, we need to come back into relationship with ourselves and reclaim our inner power and inner discernment, because we grew up in a society that tells us to actually not trust ourselves and to chase the ever-changing ideal. And so really coming back into reclaiming that power in ourselves and honoring diversity of perspective and wisdom, because that's what really is going to lead to innovation and emergent creativity. We might not even know, we know what the problems are, but we might not actually know what the solutions are, and we can know them if we integrate everything that we've been talking about over these 2 days and what we'll talk about now, so that we can fully step into that power. So creating new operating systems that heal, and really cultural and environmental alignment. So to start, I would love to have each of the panelists introduce themselves. And in their introduction, I'll give you the first kind of cue. Based on what I shared about the Sophia Century, how do you imagine this coming to life in your lifetime? So think in like 2050, what might this look like? And how does your work connect to shaping that? And so coming back to the shapers that we mentioned before, right? This is how are we each shaping the work that allows us into alignment with this future of embodied femininity and change that you're each working on in your own way.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Michele Chen with Malika Capital. We are investors and a fund manager for both these two strategies, which is on the real estate infrastructure and development side, as well as late-stage technologies. To answer your question, I believe, just during my career, I have sat at the table as the only female and minority female, and likely the youngest female for both the commercial real estate development side, as well as the late-stage pre-IPO venture capital side. And what I found out was it's a big boys or old boys club. And so typically, I think as we grow into the Sophia Century, I love to invite more women to the table. I would like my daughter to have the leadership that she can look up to in place to see that, women do have a seat at the table. And with that, I want her to lead with empathy and wisdom, and without having to choose between profits and what's best for the next century.